Hey everyone, it's Mirella here, and today I'm at Rebel Femme Salon in Mission Viejo, California. And today I'm going to transform Yesenia's blonde hair into this really beautiful smoky violet with hints of little blush and pink. So stay tuned and watch all the step-by-steps and follow along. As you can see, Yesenia is a natural level 1 with her little baby root that she has going on here. And we actually started taking her lighter and lighter gradually, but now she's decided, of course, she wants to be platinum blonde and have a little bit of accent pieces with rose gold. So in order to achieve that, I'm gonna mix up Kenra Professional Simply Blonde Blue Powder Lightener with 30 volume and apply back-to-back foils throughout her hair. So in order to get started, I divided Yesenia's hair up into 4 quadrants. And now what I'm gonna do is work from the bottom up and just taking slices and applying the product about 1/4 of an inch away from the roots. Down to where the lightener begins, right on her ends right there. And you want to make sure that you're giving enough saturation to the hair so we can get the best lightness possible. And then you're just going to sandwich your section just like that. Now the reason why I'm using foil instead of just applying this without foil is because foil is a heat conductor, and because Yesenia's hair is naturally black, I wanted to go ahead and get her as light as possible, and I'm definitely going to achieve that utilizing the foil. It's going to incubate all of that heat for me. Now she does have some previous highlights, so you do want to make sure that we're not overlapping too much of the lightener onto the previous bleached pieces. But of course we've had that conversation already that she may have some breakage, and she's okay with that. And you're going to continue doing this until you're completely done with each of the sections. You can also see that I'm taking rather thin sections, and I'm taking thin sections so I can make sure that it's properly saturated, and that I'm gonna get the underside of the hair. And if for whatever reason you're questioning whether or not you are getting that underside, you can simply just pick up the section of hair and just make sure that the lightener is right underneath. And if it's not, then you know that you're gonna need to apply just a little bit more product. So don't be afraid to oversaturate. I also think that this technique helps you stay a little bit more organized and helps you make sure that you are applying the product throughout each section of the hair. Because sometimes when we're just applying it like we would a color retouch, we might miss some pieces, especially with the blonde or with the lightener. And sometimes when you go to rinse it out later, you'll notice little spots that you missed. And doing it this way, again, it just really helps give you more control of your application. Now you'll also notice that when I apply the lightener, I also like to move the brush from side to side. This, again, is to ensure that I'm saturating the hair. It's just so imperative, and I'll say that probably several times throughout this video, is that you're definitely gonna want to make sure that you're properly saturating. That is the key to getting it the lightest possible. And our goal here, because she wants a silver tone, is we want to get her to that level 9. It is just impossible to achieve a silver tone starting at a level 8. Because at a level 8, you have a lot of gold pigment, and gold is comprised of orange with yellow, and it's the orange that's really not going to be your friend when trying to tone into that silver shade. So as I'm working towards the top, what I'm noticing is that her old highlights are right down through the mids and ends, and she has a little bit of brown pieces coming through here. So there's a couple of different ways you can tackle that. You can eyeball it and brush through some lightener through those ends. Or if you really want to go in, if her hair is super compromised, you can even go through and weave out some of those brown pieces. And apply another foil right underneath that so we can prevent the lightener getting on the compromised pieces. Now, I'm not going to be doing this to her entire head, but I just wanted to show you an added technique that you can do if you needed that extra control during this lightening process. You're just going to continue taking these really thin micro sections until you're complete with your section, and then you can move on to the next. Now that I got this entire section complete, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave them nice and sandwiched just like this, and I'm gonna continue on to the left quadrant of her hair. So again, I want to continue to work from the bottom up, so therefore I'm going to start in the back again, and then once I'm complete with the left quadrant, I'm going to move on to the right front and then finish with the left front. And by the time I'm done applying to the front 2 sections, this guy right here is probably going to be done, so I'll be able to easily rinse this out into or in the sink, and it's not going to affect any of the foils towards the front. So now that I got the last section done in the left rear quadrant, I'm going to go ahead and work in the front right quadrant, continuing on with the same technique, putting those back-to-back foils so we get a nice bright blonde. Alright, so I got my gloves on so I can go ahead and check these foils in the back that I started. So I'm going to pull this back, and actually I'm really loving what I'm seeing here. And you can see her hair is definitely in that gold yellow phase right in through here, but I'm really liking the progression here. So if I went down on the very, very bottom, put your head down, take a peek here. This looks fantastic. So this is exactly what I'm wanting right here. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start removing some of these foils. Now, a lot of people will tend to use water and a towel to remove a lot of the lightener from the hair, and actually water can reactivate product. So keep in mind that peroxide is H2O2 and water is H2O. So they're very close in their composition. So the best way to go ahead and remove a lot of this lightener from the hair, since I'm kind of still waiting for the rest of it to process, is two different ways. You can either wipe it off with a clean, dry towel, or you can go ahead and take her back to the bowl if the entire section is ready to rinse off. But we're not quite there yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and wipe these off with a clean towel. We're just gonna continue to wait for the back to finish and the rest of it to process. And I don't use heat, so heat tends to help swell open the cuticle a little bit more, driving that product to work a little bit more aggressively. I'm already using something aggressive on her hair, so I don't want to further compromise it. So therefore, we're just gonna let it be room temperature and cross our fingers and hope it gets to that level 9. Oils. And what I want to do is go ahead and buff out some of this old toner that she has through her ends. So I'm going to lightly wet her hair and continue to pull through some more lightener along with some shampoo. So basically doing like a shampoo cap. Her hair was already pretty light before on her ends, and I just want to get it right back where it was prior, so that way we can prepare her hair for her pre-tone. Now, pre-toning is super imperative to achieving any silver shade, or really any creative shade that you do, and that's gonna help give you a nice even canvas, and almost kind of creating that white canvas for you, so that way you can really create any type of color you want on the hair. So that way we're not fighting and trying to combat a lot of these orange and yellow tones that she's got going on here. But now you can kind of see it's starting to really like shift it out here, and you can see her ends are starting to get pretty blonde again. So we're just gonna go ahead and wait for that to process. Okay, so now that I have processed Yesenia's hair, what we noticed is that her ends are just not lifting how we had intended prior. Now, she did have some previous color right in through this area, which is totally fine. So we are just gonna work with what we got, because if we go through with another round of lightener, we could further compromise her hair, and we don't wanna do that. So we are just gonna work with it. So we got her pretty light as we possibly can in one session, in one day, and as far as her hair could go without breaking it. And so now what we're gonna do is pre-tone. So I went ahead and mixed up my pre-tone formula, which is Kenra Professional's Demi-Permanent SV and VP. So that's Silver Violet and Violet Pearl, equal parts with 9 volume developer. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this and try to get rid of as much yellow as possible. So since the majority of her yellow is right towards the top, I'm gonna go ahead and apply it there first, because I really think her ends are gonna tone much, much easier. Okay, so now that I got that on her roots, I'm just gonna go ahead and lead her back into the bowl, and we're gonna continue to let this process and run this through her ends, and hopefully we get a nice cooler shade than what we've got right now. So I'm just really trying to cancel out all of this bright fluorescent yellow tone she's got going on. All right, so now we have Yesenia's hair lightened and pre-toned, and we shampooed it, conditioned it, and now 100% dried it, and we're ready for our final color melt color. So what I went ahead and mixed up was 7 VM and 6 ash, equal parts in Demi-Permanent, and I did add a ribbon of each blue and violet booster. Now I wanted to show you what that looks like, because a lot of people ask me what's a ribbon, and it's just simply drawing a line of color right into your bowl. So I mix up the color first. So 1 part of your Demi-Permanent, 2 parts of your developer, and then I add in the booster shade. So you don't want to add in any more developer. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up. And this is gonna be her shadow root. So now I'm gonna go ahead and apply her root shade. And I'm just applying about an 1.5 to 2 inches right at the roots. And then once I get this color on, I'm gonna go ahead and start applying to her ends. But I decided just for fun, we're gonna do 2 different types of colors. So now I have all of the shadow root applied to Yesenia's hair, and now what I'm gonna do is go through and apply 2 different mixtures that I decided to alternate throughout her ends. And one of them is the Simply Blonde Sheer Tone Rose. And with the Sheer Tone Rose, what I really love about it is it's gonna give that kind of peachy pinky finish to the hair, which I absolutely love. It's my favorite. So if you follow me on Instagram or see any of my updo videos, you'll know that everything I do is pink. So this is definitely hands down one of my favorite colors. And the other color that I decided to go in with was 8 Violet Metallic, and this is just gonna give a very nice smoky finish to the hair, but I went ahead and added in just a little bit of Violet Booster for an added kick. So it'll definitely go with the 6A and 7VM that we went ahead and applied right at her roots. Now that I'm gonna start in the back, I like still working from bottom up. It just gives me a lot of control and allows me to apply in really clean sections. So first things first, I really like adding a little bit of depth, so I'm actually gonna pull through some of this root color right on down to the ends. And just to kind of make it look not such a hard line, I do like to add very uneven zigzag section right through the bottom. And I'm gonna try to neatly clip this away. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull through the same root color through the ends. I'm gonna go ahead and comb this product right on through. And right here on the ends, just because it's the underneath, again, giving that added depth, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my secondary violet shade color right on through here. And I'm gonna take another zigzag section. So again, I love doing these zigzags because I feel like it makes the different colors, when they start to blend together, you kind of can't tell where exactly they're coming from. So it's really one of my favorite techniques to do. And I just go through and randomly pick up where I want the pink to live and where I want the violet to live, and so on and so forth. And a lot of times people will ask me, why do you apply your color melt on dry hair? And the answer to that is, when you apply color to dry hair, you're gonna get the best saturation of your color versus applying it on wet hair, because water will act as a barrier or a dilution tool, and we do not want to dilute this at all. We want to get the maximum saturation possible out of this color, especially because they do live on the pastel side. And now for the top right in the back, a lot of times I do a couple different things. I can go ahead and continue on with the alternating pink and violet, but sometimes I will also do a little diagonal part and then just have kind of 2 chunks. So this will be pink and this will be purple, or kind of whatever you want really. And you can even take into account how she parts her hair. So I know she parts her hair typically on this side, so I'll want the line to kind of connect right where her part comes and go on the opposite end. So for me, I feel like this might be kind of nice to finish off as. And I do know her pink is living right here, which is why I'm gonna go ahead and make this one purple. And don't be afraid to oversaturate on this portion of the color application. Definitely make sure that you have enough toner on, because usually after doing a bleach and tone, the hair is really thirsty, so giving it that extra little bit of color is going to be key. Now it's time to let this process, and I can't wait for 25 minutes to go by. So now that I have Yesenia's hair washed and conditioned, I'm gonna get ready to style it. But first I wanna use some Kenra Professional strengthening sealer. And this is just gonna add some extra protection for the blow dry that we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna dispense a generous amount. And the reason why I'm gonna use this product also is because her hair has gone through a lot today. So I wanna treat it as though it's been compromised, and I wanna give it some hydration as well as that thermal protection in her hair. So I'm not afraid of applying a generous amount of this onto her hair. And you just wanna evenly distribute the product through her hair. You can even comb it through. And then now she's ready for a blow dry. All right, so now we got Yesenia's hair completely dried. We actually just rough dried it and it feels great. And now we're gonna go in and throw some curls, and I'm really excited about this new product, which is a color maintenance thermal spray. And so what this is, it's gonna help protect the color that we just did and from fading out. Especially with hot tools, you've probably done this many, many times where you've gone to curl the hair and the color just pulls right on out with the blow dryer or even with the curling iron. So this product's really gonna help protect it. It's gonna give you 450 degrees of thermal protection. So I'm really excited to give this a go. Overall, I'm really pleased with the results that we achieved with Yesenia's hair today. So you can even see her root color I'm absolutely in love with. It's, again, 6A with that 7 VM with a little bit of blue and violet booster. And it really gave her that really beautiful shadow root. And then you can really see the little subtle hints of pink throughout her hair. So again, it was the sheer tone rose and with 9 volume developer, and in between all of that is the 8 VM with violet booster. So it gave her that really beautiful smoky kind of feel. Hope you guys like it, and thanks for watching.